Who let the trash blow in? This is silk, not a Goodwill dumpster.
Beverly Foster froze. The whole store heard it. She looked Derek Caldwell dead in the eye.
I'm a customer.
Customer? I can smell the bus on you from here. Don't stink up my merchandise, old lady.
I came to buy that dress.
Buy? With what? Your food stamps? Get your dusty hands off my counter and crawl back to whatever hole you came from.
Beverly reached forward. Derek slapped her hand. Hard.
Don't touch my merchandise!
The crack echoed through the store. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. That slap was the biggest mistake of Derek Caldwell's life. He just didn't know it yet. Let me take you back. 30 minutes before that slap. Beverly Foster woke up that morning with one thing on her mind. Her granddaughter-in-law's birthday was in 3 days. She wanted something special, something elegant, something that said, "I see you, and you matter to this family." Beverly spent 41 years as a schoolteacher, retired, fixed income, but she had been saving, quietly, patiently, for months. She ironed her best cotton dress, put on her late husband's favorite brooch, and walked into Prestige & Hall on Fifth Avenue for the first time in her life. What Beverly didn't know was that this store, all 126 locations, belonged to her own grandson, Nathan Foster. The boy she helped raise after his mother worked double shifts, the boy who used to fall asleep on her lap while she read him stories. Nathan never told her. He didn't want anyone treating his grandmother differently. He wanted her to walk through life on her own terms, not his title. So when Beverly stepped through those glass doors, she was just a 72-year-old woman in a simple dress. No name, no status, no shield. A young salesgirl named Tanya Moore walked over right away. "Welcome, ma'am. Can I help you find something?" Beverly smiled. "I'm looking for something special. A dress for someone I love very much." Before Tanya could answer, Derek Caldwell appeared behind her. He looked Beverly up and down, the worn canvas shoes, the cracked leather purse, the drugstore reading glasses. He tapped Tanya on the shoulder. "I got this one. Go handle register 2. Tanya hesitated. Then she walked away. Derek followed Beverly through every aisle. Close. Too close. "The clearance section is in the back, ma'am, just so you know." Beverly ignored him. She kept walking. Then she saw it, a blue silk gown hanging near the window display. She stopped. Her eyes lit up. She pulled out her phone and called someone. "Baby, I'm in your store right now. It's beautiful in here." A voice on the other end. "Stay right there, Grandma. I'm coming." She smiled, put the phone away, and reached for the dress. That's when everything went wrong. Now, here's where it gets ugly, and I mean ugly. Derek Caldwell had been manager at Prestige & Hall for 6 years. In his mind, he owned that store. Every rack, every mirror, every square foot of marble floor. He decided who belonged and who didn't, and he had already decided about Beverly Foster the second she walked in. She didn't fit. Wrong shoes, wrong purse, wrong skin. And now she was touching the blue silk gown, the one in the window display. The $2,800 piece from the fall collection. His fall collection. His display. His dress. That's how Derek saw it. Everything in this store was his. Tier 1. The subtle cut. Derek walked up fast, not running, but the kind of walk that tells you someone's about to ruin your day. "Ma'am," his voice was flat. "That piece is part of our premium collection. It's not available for browsing." Beverly looked at him. "It's hanging on a rack, in a store. That's open." "It's a display item." There's no sign that says that. Derek smiled the way people smile when they've already decided you're beneath them. Let me be real with you. This section is for our platinum members. Do you have a membership card? Beverly shook her head slowly. No, but I'd like to. Then I can't help you here. Derek stepped sideways, blocking her view of the dress. The general collection is on the other side, more in your range. He let that word hang. Range. Like he was drawing a line on the floor between her world and his. A young white woman walked past them and reached for a jacket on the same rack. Derek didn't blink, didn't ask for a card, didn't say a word to her. He even smiled, a warm, welcoming smile that Beverly had never seen directed at her, not once since she walked in. Beverly noticed. She didn't say anything, but she noticed. Tanya Moore saw it too. She was standing behind the register pretending to count receipts. Her jaw was tight. Her hands were still. She wanted to say something. She almost did. But Derek was her boss, and she had a daughter to feed. So Tanya looked down. And Beverly was alone. Tier 2. Stripping dignity. Beverly didn't leave. She walked around Derek and headed straight for the dress. This time, she didn't just look. She lifted it off the rack, held it up against the light. The silk caught the afternoon sun coming through the window. It was perfect. This is the one, she whispered to herself. Derek was on her in seconds. I said don't touch that. He grabbed the hanger, not the dress, the hanger, and yanked it out of Beverly's hands so hard she stumbled forward. What are you doing? Beverly's voice cracked. Not from weakness, from shock. What am I doing? Derek held the dress up and made a show of inspecting it, turning it over, checking the fabric like Beverly had contaminated it. I'm checking for damage. You know how much this costs? I know exactly how much it costs. Do you? Because you don't look like someone who does. He held the dress to his nose and sniffed it, right in front of her. Great, now it smells like whatever thrift store lotion you bathed in this morning. He turned to the two women near the shoe section and shook his head, like he was sharing a private joke with them. Like Beverly was the punchline. Two women standing near the shoe section turned around. They saw everything. One of them looked uncomfortable. The other pulled out her phone, not to call anyone, just to have something to look at. Neither of them said a word. Beverly's hands were shaking now, but her back was straight. Her chin was up. 41 years of teaching children taught her one thing: never let anyone see you break. I want to speak to someone above you, she said. Derek tilted his head. You're looking at him. I'm the highest authority in this building. He said it like a king. He had no idea how wrong he was. Tier 3. The slap. Beverly did something Derek didn't expect. She pulled out her wallet. She opened it slowly. Inside were 6 crisp $100 bills. She had been saving them for 4 months, skipping lunches, cutting her own hair, putting away $30 here, $50 there. Every single bill earned, every single bill clean. She placed the wallet on the counter. Ring it up. Derek stared at the money. Something about it made him angrier, because it didn't fit. It didn't match the picture he had already drawn of her in his mind. A poor old black woman isn't supposed to pull out $600 in cash. That's not how the story goes in Derek's head. So he did what small men do when reality threatens their ego. He got louder. Where did you get that? He pointed at the wallet. You steal that too? Too? Beverly's voice was barely a whisper now. I haven't stolen anything. Sure you haven't. Derek grabbed the wallet off the counter and held it up. Greg, get over here. We might need to check this lady's bag. Greg Sullivan, The security guard walked over slowly. He was a big man, shaved head, soft eyes. He looked at Beverly, then at Derek. Something about this didn't feel right to him. "Sir, she hasn't." "Did I ask you for a report?" Derek cut him off. "Just stand there and look useful." Greg went quiet. He stood next to Beverly, close enough to help, too scared to try. Beverly reached for her wallet. "Give that back. That's my money." "Your money?" Derek leaned in close, so close she could smell the coffee on his breath. "Prove it." Beverly grabbed the edge of her wallet. Derek pulled it back. She held on. And that's when Derek Caldwell did the one thing that changed everything. He raised his open hand and slapped Beverly Foster across the face. Not a push, not a shove, a slap. Open palm, full contact. The sound bounced off the marble walls like a firecracker. Beverly's reading glasses flew off her face and skidded across the floor. She stumbled backward into a display rack. 3 hangers crashed to the ground. The store went dead silent. A woman near the entrance gasped. A man by the window put his hand over his mouth. Tanya Moore dropped the receipts she was holding. Beverly didn't fall. She caught herself on the edge of the rack. Her left cheek was red. Her eyes were wet. But she did not cry. She straightened her dress. She stood up tall, and she looked Derek Caldwell right in the face. She didn't say a word. She didn't have to. That look said everything. Derek felt it. For half a second, just half, something flickered behind his eyes. Not guilt, not shame. Something closer to fear. The kind of fear you feel when you've crossed a line and your body knows it before your brain does. But he buried it, fast, the way men like Derek always do. One person in the store didn't freeze. Claire Dawson, a blonde woman in her 30s standing near the fitting rooms, quietly pulled out her phone and hit record. She didn't announce it. She didn't confront Derek. She just held her phone steady and let it see everything. As Beverly steadied herself on the rack, her sleeve rolled up. On her left wrist was a thin gold bracelet, engraved with 2 letters, P and H, Prestige and Hall. Claire's camera caught it. Nobody else noticed. Not yet. Derek didn't panic. That's the scariest part. He didn't look at his hands. He didn't step back. He didn't think, "What did I just do?" No. Derek Caldwell looked around the store, straightened his tie, and started covering his tracks. "Greg." His voice was calm, almost bored. "Escort this woman to the back office. She just assaulted me." Greg blinked. "She... what?" "You saw it. She grabbed me. She was trying to steal that dress, and when I stopped her, she got physical." Derek pointed at Beverly like she was evidence. "That's assault. I want it documented." Beverly was still standing by the rack. Her cheek was swelling. Her glasses were still on the floor 6 feet away. Everything was blurry. "I didn't touch you," she said quietly. "Save it for the police." Derek turned to Tanya. "Write it up. Internal incident report. Customer attempted theft, became aggressive, had to be physically restrained." Tanya stared at him. Her pen was in her hand, but her fingers wouldn't move. "Write it up." Derek's voice dropped low. "Just for her. Or you can join her on the way out. Your choice." Tanya looked at Beverly, then at Derek, then at the floor. She started writing. Beverly was escorted, not dragged, not pushed, but walked to a small office in the back of the store. Greg held the door open for her. He pulled out a chair. "Ma'am, can I get you some water?" Beverly sat down slowly. Her hands were folded in her lap. Her back was still straight. But her eyes looked different now, like someone had dimmed the light behind them. "Water would be nice," she said. Greg brought her a paper cup. He set it on the desk gently. Then he stood by the door, not blocking it, but not leaving either. He wanted to say something. He opened his mouth once, closed it, opened it again. Nothing came out, so he just stood there. A big man with soft eyes and a useless conscience. Beverly sat in that office alone with her thoughts. The room was small, no windows, just a desk, 2 chairs, and a filing cabinet shoved against the wall. It smelled like old coffee and printer ink, the kind of room where nobody stays longer than 10 minutes. But Beverly wasn't leaving anytime soon, and she knew it. She looked down at her hands. The same hands that had held chalk for 41 years. The same hands that had braided her granddaughter's hair. The same hands that had signed Nathan's first permission slip for a school field trip. Now they were shaking. And there was a red mark across her right knuckle, where Derek had slapped them on the counter. She closed her fists. Slowly, not in anger, just to stop the shaking. Out on the floor, Derek was performing. That's the only word for it. He buttoned his jacket. He smiled at the remaining customers. He clapped his hands once, like the whole thing was a minor inconvenience. "Sorry about that, folks. We've had some issues with people coming in off the street. It's handled now." One of the customers, a man in a gray blazer, looked toward the back office. "Is she okay?" "She's fine. Security's with her. We're just waiting for the police to sort it out." The man nodded. He didn't ask again. He went back to browsing ties. Another customer, a woman with a stroller near the entrance, glanced toward the hallway. She had seen the slap. She had heard the sound. But Derek was smiling now. The store was quiet again, and it was easier to believe the man in charge than the woman in the back room. So she left, pushed the stroller through the front door without looking back. That's how fast it happens. One sentence from the person in charge, one calm explanation, and suddenly the victim becomes the problem. Nobody questioned Derek. Nobody asked Beverly for her side. Nobody said, "Wait, I saw what really happened." Because Derek had the title, the name tag, the keys, and Beverly had nothing. Nothing except a phone in her pocket that she was now trying to use. In the back office, Beverly pulled out her phone. Her hands were trembling so hard she misdialed twice. She pressed the number again. It rang, and rang, and rang. No answer. She tried again. Voicemail. A third time. Voicemail again. Beverly lowered the phone to her lap. She stared at the wall. There was a framed poster across from her, a Prestige and Hall advertisement. A beautiful black model in a silk gown, smiling wide. The tagline underneath read, "Elegance has no boundaries." Beverly read it 3 times. Then she closed her eyes. The irony didn't need words. Back on the floor, Derek was building his case. He pulled Tanya's report off the counter and read it. Needs more detail. Write that she reached into the display without permission. Write that she raised her voice. Write that I asked her to leave 3 times before the altercation. But that's not what... Tanya. Derek put both hands on the counter and leaned in. I've been here 6 years. You've been here 9 months. Who do you think they're going to believe? Tanya swallowed. She rewrote the report. Derek made copies. 1 for the file, 1 for the police. He pulled up the security camera system on the office computer and started reviewing footage. Perfect, he muttered. Camera 3 has a blind spot right where it happened. He leaned back in his chair. No clear angle on the contact. He was right. The camera showed Beverly reaching forward. It showed Derek stepping in. But the slap itself, the actual impact, was blocked by a pillar. Derek smiled. In his mind, it was already over. Word against word. Manager against nobody. Clean uniform against old cotton dress. He picked up the store phone and dialed 911. Yes, I'd like to report an incident at Prestige and Hall, Fifth Avenue location. We had a customer become aggressive, attempted theft, had to be restrained. She's being held in the back office now. Can you send someone?" He hung up, straightened his tie again, walked over to the water cooler and poured himself a cup. He was so calm, so sure. In the back office, Beverly's phone lit up. One notification, a text message. "Grandma, I'm 10 minutes away. Stay there." The sender's name was hidden by the angle. Greg glanced at the phone but couldn't see it clearly. Beverly read the message, took a slow breath, and put the phone face down on the desk. For the first time since the slap, something shifted in her face. It wasn't anger. It wasn't relief. It was something quieter. It was patience. The kind of patience that comes from knowing, truly knowing, that the storm is almost over. Not because it will fade, but because something bigger is coming. Beverly took a sip of water, set the cup down, folded her hands again, and waited. Out front, Derek was joking with a customer about golf. The police were on their way. The report was written. The cameras were useless. Every door was closed. He had locked Beverly Foster in a box with no witnesses, no evidence, and no allies. Or so he thought. Because right then, at that exact moment, a silver car pulled into the parking lot. A man in a gray suit stepped out. He didn't rush. He fixed his cuffs. He looked up at the Prestige and Hall sign above the door. Then he walked inside. The glass door opened. A man walked in. Mid-30s, gray suit, clean shave. The kind of presence that makes people stand up straighter without knowing why. Derek spotted him immediately. New face, expensive clothes. This was the kind of customer Derek lived for. He crossed the floor in 4 steps. Big smile, shoulders back, full performance mode. "Good afternoon, sir. Welcome to Prestige and Hall. I'm Derek Caldwell, store manager. How can I help you today?" The man didn't look at him. He was scanning the store. His eyes moved across the racks, past the register, past Tanya, who had looked up the moment he walked in, and toward the back hallway. "Sir?" Derek stepped into his line of sight. "Is there something specific I can help you with?" The man finally looked at him. His eyes were calm, but there was something underneath. Something cold. "Where is she?" Derek blinked. "I'm sorry?" "The older woman, the one you brought to the back. Where is she?" Derek's smile flickered. Just for a second. "Oh, you mean the lady from earlier?" "Sir, we had a small incident. A customer became aggressive and we're handling it with security. Nothing to worry about. Now, can I show you our new, 'Take me to her, now'?" It wasn't a request. It wasn't loud, but something in the way he said it made Derek's mouth close on its own. Derek hesitated, then he forced his smile back on. "Of course. Right this way." They walked down the hallway. Derek opened the office door. Beverly was sitting exactly where she'd been for the past 20 minutes, hands folded, back straight, water cup half empty. Greg was still standing by the door. He looked up when they entered. The man in the gray suit stopped in the doorway. For a moment, he didn't move. He just looked at Beverly. Her left cheek was swollen. Her glasses were gone. A small red mark ran along the edge of her cheekbone where Derek's palm had landed. The man's jaw tightened. His hands clenched at his sides. 1 breath. 2 breaths. Then he walked to her. Slowly. He knelt down beside the chair, right there on the office floor in his $2,000 suit, and picked up her hands. "Grandma." 1 word. That's all it took. Beverly looked at him, and for the first time since the slap, her eyes filled with tears. Not from pain, not from humiliation, from relief. "Baby," she whispered. "You came." "I'm here." He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a glasses case. A spare pair. He always kept one for her. In his car, in his office, in his jacket. Because Beverly Foster was always losing her glasses, and Nathan Foster was always ready. He unfolded them gently and placed them on her face. Beverly blinked. The room came back into focus. She touched his cheek. "I'm okay," she said. "Don't make a fuss." "Who did this to you?" Beverly didn't answer. She didn't have to. The man stood up, turned around, and looked at Derek Caldwell. Derek's brain was still trying to catch up. The word grandma was bouncing around inside his skull, but it hadn't landed yet. He was smiling, that nervous, automatic smile of someone who knows something is wrong but doesn't know what. "Sir, I'm not sure what she told you, but I can explain. My name is Nathan Foster." The smile didn't fade. Not yet. Derek nodded. "Nice to meet you, Mr. Foster. Like I said, this was a minor—" "I'm the CEO of Prestige & Hall." Now the smile died. It didn't fade. It collapsed. Every muscle in Derek Caldwell's face went slack at the same time. His lips parted. His eyes widened. The color drained out of his cheeks like someone had pulled a plug. "You... what?" "I own this store." Nathan's voice was steady, every word measured. "All 126 of them, including this one, including that office you're standing in, including the floor my grandmother is sitting on right now." Derek took one step backward. His heel hit the doorframe. "And the woman you put in this room, the woman you called trash, the woman you said smelled like a bus, the woman whose hand you slapped in front of a store full of people, is Beverly Foster, my grandmother, the woman who raised me." The room was dead silent. Greg hadn't moved. His mouth was open. His arms hung loose at his sides. Tanya appeared in the hallway behind Derek. She had heard every word. Her hand was over her mouth. Tears were already running. Derek's voice came out cracked, thin. "Mr. Foster, I had no idea she was—" "She was what?" Nathan stepped forward. Not aggressive, not threatening, just closer. "Go ahead. Finish that sentence." Derek swallowed. "I didn't know she was your family." Nathan let that sentence hang in the air. He let it sit there so everyone could hear it, so everyone could feel the weight of what Derek just admitted without realizing it. Then Nathan said the thing that broke Derek Caldwell in half. "So if she wasn't my grandmother, if she was just some old woman off the street with no connections, no last name, no one coming to save her, then what you did would have been fine?" Derek opened his mouth. Nothing came out. "That's not... I didn't mean..." "You meant exactly what you did." Nathan's voice didn't rise, not once. "You looked at her and decided she was nothing. You didn't check. You didn't ask. You just looked at her skin, her shoes, her purse, and you decided." Derek's back was against the wall now. Literally. His shoulder blades pressed against the doorframe. His eyes were darting, to Greg, to Tanya, to the floor, anywhere except Nathan's face. "Sir, please, I've worked here for 6 years. I've never had a complaint." "You've never had a complaint because the people you do this to don't have a grandson who owns the building." That line landed like a hammer. Greg looked at the floor. Tanya closed her eyes. Even Claire, still standing at the far end of the hallway with her phone, lowered her head. Because it was true, and everyone in that room knew it. Nathan turned to Greg. "Is there security footage?" Greg nodded fast. "Yes, sir, but camera 3 has a blind spot. The slap itself isn't—" "I didn't ask about the slap." Nathan's voice was calm. "I asked if there's footage. of how she was treated from the moment she walked in. Greg paused. Yes, all of it. Cameras 1 and 2 cover the floor. Good. Pull everything from today. Every minute. Don't delete anything. Yes, sir. Nathan looked at Tanya. Did he make you write a false report? Tanya's chin was trembling. She looked at Derek, then back at Nathan. The tears were coming faster now. Yes, she whispered. He told me to write that she was aggressive, that she tried to steal. None of it was true. I know. Nathan's voice softened, just a little. Where's the report now? On the front counter. He made copies. Bring me all of them. Tanya nodded and disappeared down the hall. Nathan turned back to Derek one more time. Derek was barely standing. His face was gray. His hands were shaking. 6 years of authority, 6 years of deciding who mattered and who didn't, had just crumbled in 90 seconds. Mr. Foster. His voice was a whisper now. Please. I have a family. I have... So does she. Nathan pointed at Beverly without looking away from Derek. She has a family. She has a name. She has 41 years of teaching other people's children. She has more dignity in her little finger than you've shown in this entire store today. Nathan took a step back, gave Derek space, not out of kindness, out of control. Don't move. Don't touch anything. Don't speak to anyone. You'll wait right here until I decide what happens next. Derek nodded, slowly, like a man watching his whole life fold in on itself. Nathan walked back to Beverly. He knelt beside her again. She was looking up at him with a small, quiet smile. You didn't have to do all that, she said softly. Yes, I did. He's scared enough. He should be. Beverly touched Nathan's hand. Don't be cruel, baby. Be fair. There's a difference. Nathan looked at her for a long moment. Then he nodded. Yes, ma'am. He stood up, buttoned his jacket, and walked toward the front of the store. What happened next, Derek Caldwell would remember for the rest of his life. Nathan walked out of that back office and onto the showroom floor like a man who had already made every decision he needed to make. He didn't rush. He didn't raise his voice. He moved with the kind of calm that only comes from absolute authority, the kind you don't have to announce. Everyone, he said, not shouting, just loud enough. If you work in this store, I need you on the floor right now. Tanya came from behind the register. Greg stepped out of the hallway. 2 other staff members, a stock boy named Ellis and a part-time cashier named Dawn, appeared from the back. Derek followed last. His tie was loose. His face was the color of old paper. 5 employees, 4 customers still in the store, and Claire Dawson, phone still recording from her spot near the fitting rooms. Nathan stood in the center of the floor, right under the chandelier, right beneath the banner that read, Elegance has no boundaries. My name is Nathan Foster. I am the CEO of Prestige & Hall. I built this company on one belief, that every person who walks through our doors deserves to be treated with respect. No exceptions. He paused, let the words settle. Today, that belief was broken, in this store, by someone I trusted to uphold it. He turned to Greg. Pull up camera 1 on the main display screen. Greg moved fast. Within a minute, the 65-inch screen near the entrance, normally used for promotional videos, flickered to life. And there it was, Beverly walking in, Tanya greeting her warmly, Derek stepping in, waving Tanya away, Derek following Beverly through the aisles, Derek blocking the VIP section, Derek snatching the dress, Derek sniffing the fabric, Derek grabbing Beverly's wallet, Derek leaning into her face, And then, from a wider angle on camera 1, Derek's arm swinging, Beverly stumbling, the glasses flying. The blind spot on camera 3 didn't matter. Camera 1 caught enough. The wind-up, the follow-through, the old woman hitting the rack. Nobody in that store made a sound. One of the customers, the man in the gray blazer who had gone back to browsing ties, stood frozen with a hanger in his hand. He watched the footage. Then he looked at Derek, then back at the screen. His face changed. The kind of change that happens when someone realizes they were part of something ugly and chose to look away. He set the hanger down. He didn't pick it back up. Nathan let the footage play to the end. Then he turned it off. Derek Caldwell. Derek flinched at his own name.
Step forward. Derek took 2 steps. His legs looked like they might give out. Nathan didn't yell. He didn't need to. Every word came out clean and sharp, like a scalpel. You are terminated. Effective immediately. Your badge, your keys, your access, all of it ends right now. Derek's lips moved. No sound came out. You are permanently banned from every Prestige and Hall location in the country. All 126 of them. If you step foot inside any of our stores again, you will be removed and charged with trespassing. Derek's hand went to his name tag. His fingers were shaking so badly he couldn't unclip it. The full security footage from today will be handed over to the police. You slapped a 72-year-old woman in the face. That's assault. That's a criminal matter, and this company will cooperate fully with the investigation. Derek finally got the name tag off. He held it in his palm and stared at it. 6 years. 6 years of opening this store every morning, locking it every night. 6 years of thinking he was king of this building. Gone in 6 minutes. Mr. Foster. Derek's voice broke. Please, I made a mistake. One mistake. I've given this company 6. A mistake is putting the wrong tag on a dress. Nathan's voice didn't waver. What you did was a choice. You chose to humiliate her. You chose to lie. You chose to slap an elderly woman and then call the police on her. That's not a mistake. That's who you are on a Tuesday afternoon when nobody's watching. Derek had nothing left. His mouth opened and closed. He looked around the room, at Tanya, at Greg, at the customers, looking for one sympathetic face. He didn't find one. Nathan turned to Tanya. She stiffened. Tanya Moore. Yes, sir. Her voice was barely there. He pressured you into writing a false report. I know that. I've read it. Nathan held up the papers she had brought him. You won't be fired for this. Tanya exhaled. Her shoulders dropped 3 inches. But I need you to hear me. Nathan's voice was firm, but not harsh. When you picked up that pen and wrote what he told you to write, you became part of it. Silence in the face of injustice isn't neutral. It's a side. Tanya nodded, tears running. I know. I'm sorry. I was scared. I understand being scared. But next time, and I'm going to make sure there are systems in place so there is a next time option, I need you to be scared and still do the right thing. Tanya wiped her face and nodded again. Yes, sir. Nathan looked at Greg, the big man with the soft eyes who gave Beverly water but couldn't give her words. Greg Sullivan. Greg stood straight. Sir. You gave her water. You pulled out her chair. You were the only person in this building who showed her a shred of kindness. Greg swallowed hard. His eyes were red. But you didn't stop it. You saw a man slap an old woman, and you stood there. Greg's voice cracked. I know, sir. I wanted to. You did half the right thing. Nathan held his gaze. Next time, do the whole thing. Greg nodded. Slow. Heavy. Then Nathan turned to Claire Dawson. She was still standing near the fitting rooms, phone still in her hand, still recording. Ma'am, did you film what happened today? Claire hesitated, then nodded. All of it, from the moment he grabbed the dress. May I have a copy? Of course. Nathan took a breath. Thank you. What you recorded isn't just evidence against one man. It's proof that my system failed, that a woman could walk into my store, my grandmother, and be treated like she was nothing. That's on me. Claire lowered her phone. She didn't expect that. Nobody did. Nathan walked to the back office one last time. He knelt beside Beverly and took her hand. Grandma, it's done. Beverly looked at him. That quiet, steady look. The same look she gave him when he was 10 and got into his first fight at school. Not angry, not soft, just clear. Did you fire him? Yes. Did you scream? No, ma'am. Did you hit him? No, ma'am. Beverly squeezed his hand. Good. Then I raised you right. 1 month later, a lot had changed. And for once, the change wasn't just talk. Nathan Foster didn't go on television the next day. He didn't post a polished statement written by a PR team. He didn't do what most CEOs do. Apologize fast, wait for the news cycle to move on, and go back to business. He went quiet. For 2 weeks, nobody heard from him publicly. People assumed he was hiding. They were wrong. He was rebuilding. The first thing Nathan did was fly to every regional office, 14 cities in 12 days. Not Zoom calls, not memos, in person. He sat in break rooms with floor staff. He asked one question at every stop. Has something like this ever happened in your store? The answers broke him. A woman in Atlanta told him a security guard followed a black teenager for 20 minutes because he was wearing a hoodie. A man in Chicago said his coworker once told a Hispanic woman the jewelry counter was probably out of her budget. A cashier in Houston admitted she'd seen a manager refuse to shake a customer's hand because you never know where those hands have been. None of it had been reported. None of it had made it past the store walls. Nathan realized something that most people in power never admit. The system didn't fail because of Derek Caldwell. Derek was the symptom. The system was the disease. Within 30 days, Nathan rolled out 3 company-wide changes across all 126 locations. First, mandatory training. Not a 45-minute online module that employees click through while eating lunch. A full-day, in-person program designed with civil rights educators and behavioral psychologists. Every employee, every manager, every quarter. No exceptions. Second, a direct feedback line. Any customer could now report an incident straight to corporate. No manager filter, no store-level review. If something happened on the floor, it went to the top, immediately. Third, and this was the one that surprised people, Nathan promoted Tanya Moore to assistant manager. Not because she was perfect, she wasn't. She had written that false report. She had stayed quiet when Beverly needed someone to speak up. But she told the truth when it mattered. She handed Nathan the copies. She admitted what she did and why she did it. And she was the only person in that store, besides Claire, who didn't try to cover herself. Nathan told her on the phone, "I'm not promoting you because you were brave. I'm promoting you because you were honest about not being brave. That's where it starts." Tanya's first assignment as assistant manager was designing the new employee training on customer dignity. She threw away the old manual on her first day. Greg Sullivan stayed on as security. He asked to. The week after the incident, he drove to Beverly's house on his day off. He brought a handwritten letter, 3 pages. He sat on her porch and read it out loud, because his handwriting was terrible and he wanted her to hear every word. He told her he was sorry. Not the kind of sorry that asks for forgiveness. The kind that says, I see what I did. I see what I didn't do. And I'm going to carry that. Beverly listened to the whole thing. When he was done, she didn't say, I forgive you. She said something better. Come inside. I made pot roast. Greg stayed for dinner. They talked for 3 hours. He left with a plate of leftovers and the heaviest conscience he'd ever carried. But for the first time, it felt like the right kind of heavy. Derek Caldwell was charged with simple assault. The case was open. The footage from Claire's phone and the store cameras left very little room for defense. But this story doesn't end with Derek in a cell. That would be easy. Too easy. 3 weeks after being fired, Derek sat down at his kitchen table and wrote a letter to Beverly Foster. It wasn't long. It wasn't poetic. It didn't ask for forgiveness or sympathy or a second chance. It said, I was wrong. Not because of who your grandson is, because of who you are. And I didn't see it. I'm sorry. Beverly received the letter on a Saturday morning. She read it once, folded it, put it in her kitchen drawer. She didn't write back, but she didn't throw it away. Some doors don't close all the way, and maybe that's the point. 2 months after the incident, Beverly Foster walked back into Prestige and Hall on Fifth Avenue. Same cotton dress, same brooch, same canvas shoes. She walked in the way she always walked in, like a woman who had earned every step she'd ever taken. Tanya was at the front. The moment she saw Beverly, she came around the counter. Mrs. Foster, welcome back. Beverly smiled. I'm here for that blue dress. Is it still available? It's been waiting for you. Tanya brought it out herself, wrapped it in tissue paper, put it in the nicest bag they had. No membership card, no questions. Beverly paid with the same $600 bills she had been saving. The same ones Derek had questioned. The same money that was never dirty, never stolen, never wrong. As she walked toward the door, every employee on the floor stood up. Not because Nathan told them to, not because there was a memo, because they wanted to. Beverly stopped at the door. She turned around and looked at them. I don't need special treatment, she said. I never did. I just needed to be treated like a human being. She walked out into the afternoon sun, blue dress in hand, head high, back straight. The same way she walked in. 1 week later, Nathan Foster held a press conference. No teleprompter, no script. Just him, a microphone, and one sentence that made every headline in the country. My grandmother taught me that dignity doesn't have a price tag. It took me building a company to understand what she meant, and it took almost losing her in one of my own stores to feel it. He announced the new policies publicly. Training, direct reporting, zero tolerance. Not as a PR move, as a promise. A reporter asked him, why go this far over one incident? Nathan didn't blink. Because if it happened to her, it's happened to 1,000 women who don't have a grandson with his name on the building, and those women deserve the same justice. Another reporter raised her hand. Some people are saying this is just damage control, that you're protecting your brand, not your grandmother. Nathan leaned into the microphone. My grandmother doesn't need protecting. She raised 3 children on a teacher's salary. She buried a husband and didn't miss a day of work. She walked into a store where a man half her age slapped her across the face. And she didn't fall. She didn't scream. She stood up straight and looked him in the eye. He paused. That woman doesn't need me to protect her. She needs me to make sure no one else has to be that strong just to buy a dress. The room went quiet. No follow-up questions, no gotcha angles, just silence. Because there was nothing left to argue with. That night, the clip went viral. Not the press conference, Claire Dawson's video. She posted it with one line. "This happened in front of me. I should have done more than record." Within 48 hours, it had been viewed 11 million times. The comments section became a war zone and a support group at the same time. Thousands of people shared their own stories. Moments in stores, in restaurants, in waiting rooms, where someone looked at them and decided they didn't belong. A woman in Detroit wrote, "This happened to my mother at a jewelry store in 2019. Nobody filmed it. Nobody came. She never went back." A man in Philadelphia wrote, "I'm a black doctor. I was followed around a car dealership last month in my scrubs. They thought I was there to clean." A teenage girl in Atlanta wrote, "I'm 16. A security guard asked me to open my backpack at a bookstore. I was the only black person in the store. I haven't gone back." Story after story after story. Different cities, different stores. Same feeling. Beverly Foster wasn't one woman. She was every woman, every man, every teenager who ever stood in a place they had every right to be and was told they didn't belong. 3 months later, something small happened that nobody reported. No cameras, no headlines, no viral clips. Beverly Foster was sitting on her front porch on a Sunday morning, coffee in one hand, newspaper in the other. The blue silk dress was hanging in her closet. Her granddaughter-in-law had cried when she opened it. The mailman walked up. "Morning, Mrs. Foster." "Morning, baby." He handed her the mail. Bills, coupons, a furniture catalog, and one envelope with no return address. She opened it. Inside was a single photograph. A classroom. 30 kids, all different colors, all different sizes, sitting in rows. Standing in front of them was a man in a collared shirt. He wasn't smiling, but he was there. On the back of the photo, in handwriting that was barely legible, "I got a job at a community center, teaching kids about respect. I think about what I did to you every single day. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I'm just trying to become someone worth forgiving." No name, no signature, but Beverly knew. She looked at the photo for a long time. Then she did something she hadn't done with his first letter. She put it on the refrigerator, right next to the picture of Nathan at his college graduation. Right next to the drawing her great-niece made of a sunflower. Right in the center of everything that mattered. Not because she forgave him. Maybe she did. Maybe she didn't. That wasn't the point. The point was, he was trying. And trying deserved a place on the wall. Beverly took a sip of her coffee, looked out at the street. A neighbor's kid rode by on a bicycle and waved. She waved back. Then she picked up her phone and called Nathan. "Baby?" "Yes, Grandma?" "Come over for dinner tonight. I'm making pot roast." "Yes, ma'am." She hung up, leaned back in her chair, and smiled. Not because the world was fixed, not because justice was perfect, not because one press conference or one training program or one viral video could undo generations of people being told they don't belong, but because today, right now, the sun was warm, the coffee was good, and a 72-year-old woman in a simple cotton dress was sitting on her own porch, in her own chair, on her own terms. And nobody could take that from her.
6 minutes the power, 6 minutes to do it all. Derek Caldwell walked in thinking he was a king. He walked out with nothing, all because he slapped the wrong grandmother. Here's what haunts me about Beverly Foster. She didn't scream, she didn't cry, she just stood there, back straight, chin up. Because Derek didn't slap her over a dress, he slapped her over a decision he made the second she got in. That she was nothing, and the real tragedy, it wasn't that him, it was every person who looked away, every silent witness who showed comfort over courage. Silence is never neutral. Silence is a side. So ask yourself this: how many times have dignity gone past you and you didn't recognize it because it got the wrong shoes? And when injustice happened right in front of you, did you record it or did you become it? If Beverly stopped remove you, subscribe and share this with someone who needs it. Tell me in the comments who in the line walked through the world like Beverly and remember her words as she walked out, blue dress in hand. I don't need special treatment as it needed to be treated like human being. That's not a high bar, that's the floor.